Good morning, Breakfast Clubbers. Helping business pros create winning pitches is my life. My book, Close with Your Open, the Pitchfreaks Guide to 10-second pitches that sell, reveals insights from over 25 years of crafting product and business launches, culminating in over $750 million in successful exits. The Pitch Freak, Antonio White, credits his 3-step winning pitch framework in delivering creative, innovative pitches for fast-growing startups, small and established businesses alike. And Antonio has crafted major pitches for NBC, NASA, Broaderbund, Datamine, Sagent, Personic, FireClick, Claria, Ideal, the Salvation Army, TNDC, the San Francisco Veterans Memorial, Shanti Project, Ritual Chic, Fluzzletube, and many others. So give a great big Golden Gate Breakfast Club welcome to our past president, Antonio White, the Pitch Freak.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate you also very much here. I'm happy to be presenting here. All right, well, Happy New Year. Let me just start off with a quick question. How many of you are currently actively in business right now? I'd like to just kind of get a sense of kind of how many people are actively in business right now. Okay, great. All right. I want you to just take a quick note. What would $1 million deal mean to your business in 2020? Just think about it in your mind. What would it take for you to get $1 million deal in 2020? How many of you actually have a plan for $1 million deal in 2020? Out of curiosity, how many have a plan of getting an extra $1 million this year in 2020 beyond Lex? Okay, great, perfect. Okay, good. Here's the good news, by the way. If you're going for $1 million deal, same approach applies to a $100 million deal, by the way. If you're going for $1 million deal, same approach applies for a $100,000 deal and even a $10,000 deal. So as long as you are in business and seeking either a new customer or an investor, these principles apply across the board. Okay. So what I'd like to be able to do is, if I could, is I just did a little quick search here. Under 25 years of doing this. Let me just check online just to see what people say about what's the requirements for $1 million checklist. And so in my new book here, Close with Your Open, the Pitch Freaks Guide to 10-second pitches that sell, I cover the fundamental moves that you need in order to capture an investor or a customer's attention within the first 10 seconds of your presentation. It's essential because of the demand on people's time these days that you're able to articulate your value, connect emotionally, and then be able to drive engagement within the first 10 seconds of any presentation that you make. So when I ask folks the question of what would $1 million deal mean to their business, that's a pitch. That's a pitch. It was presented in less than 10 seconds. And what is that pitch? That pitch is I want to engage people to start thinking about how they'll be able to apply what I'm about to present to you, right? If I can't engage you within the first 10 seconds of the presentation here, the last 10 seconds of the presentation, where I want to close you, by the way, a pitch is meaningless unless you close somebody. The difference between a presentation and a pitch is that a pitch has an intention. The intention is to sell you on something, to sell you on an idea, to sell you on buying something. More often than not, it's to sell you on something. So the difference between somebody who is a pitch person and a presenter does not have to sell. A presenter only has to present. So the difference between, so when you're able to add pitching capabilities onto a presenter, then you got somebody who is incredibly capable, who can represent probably any company. Patricia is a presenter extraordinaire, but she can also pitch. She can close deals from the stage. That is the difference between a presenter and somebody who knows how to pitch. So my point to you guys is this. This checklist that I'm going to go over today here is essential for you in order to make $1 million pitch. I'd like to tell you a quick little story. Tim Lane Tim Bring the Pain Lane is a heavyweight world champion kickboxer. He was able to achieve incredible amount of success as a result, in spite of having a very hard life growing up as a child. He was bullied mercilessly as a child, and asked his father at a very young age, who was in the army, traveled the world, if he could join a judo class. Over years of training, almost 20 years, he developed an aptitude and a capability as a kickboxer, finally culminating in his successful title bout for the world champion kickboxer. What Tim was able to do as a result of that is become an amazing trainer, world trainer to celebrities and musicians and pro athletes. And he actually took that training skill all the way to HBO, where he was the coach and trainer for Chris Algieri in his fight against Manny Pacquiao. During that fight with Manny Pacquiao, just before that, in the training in Thailand, Tim broke his clavicle. As a result of that breaking, he could not train with his boxer, Chris Algieri. And as a result, he needed to develop a new way in which to train his boxer, because, as you know, boxers spar. And the coach is designed, you've seen these boxers with their mitts here, and the fighter hits the mitts, and that's an important thing. Well, what happens if you break an arm or break a clavicle? You can't train with the boxer. So Tim created these ideas to train with the boxer with he's using swimming noodles. And so the boxer would fight and hit these swimming noodles. As a result of that, he developed this idea called stick boxing. Stick boxing, you would think, would be something that would be kind of compelling to people who are boxing. And you think somebody who is a world champion kickboxer, who is known around the world at the very highest level in their sport, should they endorse a product or invent a product, they'd have an easy time selling it. What I discovered during a series of training courses this past year in 2020 is that that's not the case. Like many artists, this concept of you create this beautiful painting, and obviously there's going to be a line of people. As soon as you finish the painting, there's going to be a line of people ready to buy it for $1 million. It doesn't work like that. Same thing applies with businesses. So many business people are artists in a very particular way here. They build a business concept, an idea. Ideas do not get you funded. You need to show opportunity. So let's go over the list real quick here, and then I'm going to go into detail about this list. What I want to tell you, though, is very specifically, is Tim was able to perform at the very highest level in his sport, world champion heavyweight kickboxer. But when it came to business, he was at a loss for words. He did not know how to put his words together in order to make a pitch. And so he sunk tens and tens of thousands of dollars into the production of his business and his product, and was unable to move the dial in a meaningful way until talking to me at the beginning of the year. I'm going to show you what we're able to do with Tim. And as a result of Tim's training through me and through the approach and through the principles here, actually in my book, Close with the Open, the 10-second guide to pitches that sell, Tim was able to actually acquire $1 million offer in December, on December 12th, 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, at the worst possible time to ask for money, probably in the history of the economy. Not only was Tim able to make a pitch, but he was able to secure a deal, and actually secured a multi-million-dollar deal as a result of that. And by the way, it took 5 people from around the world 4 hours to show him the 15 moves that he needed in order to make that pitch. And so I want to show you guys the list of things that you need to prepare for when you're about to make a pitch. And I want to show you how we're able to do it with someone who could not find the words, 4 hours later, making $1 million pitch and actually succeeding. So let me show you the list. Online, if you look online, what do you need for $1 million pitch? Here's what they'll probably tell you. You're going to need to show a problem of some sort. Number one thing, you'll need a problem. What's the problem that you're solving, right? Number 2 is, what's your solution to that problem, right? What's the product or the service that you're offering, right? What's the market size? What's the business model? And by the way, at the end of this here, you're just going to send Antonio at pitchfreaks.com, Antonio at pitchfreaks.com, and then in the subject line, just put list, and I'll email you the list. So you can just relax here. You don't have to worry about taking notes here. Just send me an email here, and I'll send you this list free of charge. Okay. Number 6 is the concept called underlying magic. What makes you special, right? Then we have competition, what makes you better or different than that competition, your marketing plan, your team, and your traction or milestones. Now, there's multiple variations of that depending upon where you look at here, but let me tell you the actual things that you need. You only need 3. Technically, you only need 1. But here are the key 3 that you need. If you're going to go after $1 million deal and make $1 million pitch to investors today, you need to have 3 things really clear. 1, you have to have passion for what you do. You have to be deeply passionate for what you do. Number 2, you have to have people on your team to help you deliver on your objectives. They have to be capable, experienced people, professionals in doing what they do. And finally, you need perseverance. You need perseverance because it's not just about raising money, it's actually doing the executables after you get that money to turn that into a profitable venture. So if you don't have passion for what you do, you're not going to do what it takes to go deep and understand and be successful in your endeavor. If you don't have the right people in place, you're not going to be able to have the team to help you get the ball over the finish line. And finally, if you don't have the perseverance here, you're going to quit. You're not going to do whatever it takes, which requires, in some cases, a great deal of humility in order to figure out what it's going to take to be successful in your business. So if you don't have those 3 criteria at a minimum here, there's no point in you trying to raise money. There's no point actually in you trying to do $1 million deals at all. And there's nothing wrong with having a regular job, by the way. This whole presentation is designed for folks here who are risk takers, who are entrepreneurs. The whole concept of raising money and starting a venture here is a risky proposition. But when you're asking for money, you are intentionally balancing risk with the reward tied to that risk. Okay, so Ray Scioto is not on this call, but most of you would know if I were to ask Ray what the number 1 criteria for getting $1 million deal might be, it would be, show me the money. Right? When in doubt, please rephrase the question. If money is not the answer, please rephrase the question, is a common saying that Ray often says. Right? And that's true. If you're raising money from venture capital, they want to know one thing: how will you make them rich? That's it. The idea that you're going to change the world, the idea that you are going to do something wonderful for humanity, none of these concepts are going to get you money today. None of them. I'm going to burst a lot of bubbles today. The main bubble that I want to burst here is that your ideas don't matter. What's in your head does not matter if you cannot execute. If you cannot deliver what's in your head and make it real, your idea is worthless. It's less than worthless. Because if you have not executed on your idea, even you do not believe the idea is worth anything. So let me tell you the number 1 thing. And by the way, when I tell you these ideas, I'm going to present to you what you need for an investor, but I'm going to tell you the number 1 thing that you need for your advantage. Because if you're trying to get money from an investor, investors are very shrewd people, obviously. They're financial savvy. How can you stack the odds in your favor? So the idea is, when you're trying to get $1 million deal, well, what are you giving up for this $1 million deal? You're giving up a piece of your company for this $1 million deal. But what if I could show you a simple way in which to get a $1 million deal and not have to give up your company? How many people would be interested in that? Out of curiosity. Great. Okay, good. Or how about if you were to get $1 million deal from an angel or a VC, instead of having to give up 50 or 60 or 70% of your company, you could give up far, far less, just a fraction of the company. How many people would be interested in that? Okay, good. All right. Here's the secret, the number 1 secret. Have you sold your product? Have you sold anything? Have you sold anything? If you have made a sale of a product to a real person who's not a family member, okay, not a friend, not a family member, a real going concern, your ability to get the attention of investors is exponentially better. Not only will you get their attention, but the valuation that you'll get on your investment opportunity is much higher. What's the valuation? Valuation is basically the value of your company, the value of your opportunity as a result of your offer in the investment for a funder, for an investor of some sort. So for instance, if you have $1 million opportunity and I'm going to give you $1 million, that means that I'm going to have 100% of your opportunity here. I'm buying 100% of that, right? Let me give you an example here. If you're trying to raise $1 million today, it means on the likelihood that you must have a $100 million plus opportunity to even have the average VC interested in what it is that you have to offer. So if you don't have a way to get to $100 million, by the way, it used to be $1 billion. If you don't have a way to get to $100 million for the average VC, average angel investor here, they're really not going to entertain you because they're inundated with people with $100 million and $1 billion ideas. So you have to figure out a way to get to $100 million in order to get $1 million deal to begin with, right? And so that requires something called TAM, T-A-M. And TAM stands for Total Addressable Market. The total addressable market is the total amount of people who could buy your product. Okay. So the question here that I'm going to ask you here, if you're trying to go for $1 million deal or $100,000 deal, if you're trying to get investment, you need to know the opportunity available to you. The opportunity available to you is how many people could potentially buy your product. Now, here's what I want to talk to you about. A lot of people say, I have this great idea. And if only 1% of the people who could buy the product purchase the product, I'd be rich. How many people have heard that before? How many people have heard this? Somebody say, I have this idea. If only 1% or 10% of the people here that could possibly buy it, I would be rich. Anybody? Just out of curiosity, let me just take a look at the gallery here. Everybody's heard this, right? Okay. That's not how it works, you guys. That's not how it works. Okay. So total addressable market, just because there's a lot of people who may buy the product does not mean that they will buy your product. Okay. And it does not mean that they will buy your product now. Okay. So what you need to do to impress an investor is you need to show them a list of people who have already purchased your product. Then you can extrapolate based upon the people who've purchased your product to other people similar to those people. Right? So for instance, Craig, Mr. President, when you present the presentation to purchase a home, a real estate, a piece of real estate, what's one of the things that you do when you're trying to get a listing?
Well, I mean, that's a multi, I'm not sure where to go with that. I mean, ultimately, we want to basically look at the value of the property. And
that's right.
We want
and how do you determine that value? What's the quickest way?
We do comps.
Bingo. Exactly right.
Comparables.
Comps. Exactly right. Comparables, right? Comparables. So now you need to apply the concept of comparables to you as a business person. It's very comparable in real estate, right? But is it comparable in your business? If you're trying to raise money, what are other businesses doing similar things to you, with you, as you? What are their values? Who are their customers? How do they do their launches? How do they do their rollouts? What are their sales? How do they position themselves? These are questions you need to ask. The biggest failing that I find with most people with an opportunity to pitch for $1 million is they're not prepared. They're woefully unprepared. Two problems. They're overprepared and overconfident. Or underprepared and overconfident, I should say. This is a deadly combination. Because if you're underprepared and overconfident here, you are in for a world of hurt with a serious investor. I don't know how many people have watched Shark Tank and seen people just be reamed as a result of being overconfident and underprepared. Or unrealistic, by the way. Comps in real estate is a great way to ascertain the value of the offer that you're making. So for instance, if I wanted to charge $30 million for this book, I could make the argument that it's worth $30 million. Let me make the argument for you. I took the exact concepts in this book and created a 3-word pitch for a company that was negative $143,000 a month and turned them, as of this date, about $50 million in revenue over the past 10 years. You might say this is a $50 million book as a result of that. And by the way, it's not some crazy thing. This company was failing miserably in 2008, in the second worst economic crisis that we had. Within 12 months, with this 3-word pitch that I use this book, they were profitable. 10 years later, they're approaching $50 million in total revenue as a result, and they're highly profitable. Now, this book is $27. $30 million for a $27 book seems like a pretty good deal. Not too shabby. By the way, that was a pitch. What's the pitch? I showed you how I applied the tools in this book and created a meaningful return, and how you can apply the same principles for your business for only $27. By the way, I charge over $250,000 to that client over a 2-year period of time to get that result. You get it, $27. Not too bad. Okay. By the way, anybody find that interesting? Who would like to know what those 3 words are? Out of curiosity. Anybody interested with those 3 words? Okay, great. Okay, good. All right. Email me, Antonio@pitchfreaks.com. Subject line. 3 words. I'll tell you what they are. By the way, it's not just 3 words for one client. It's 3 words for multiple clients. I took Tim Bring the Pain Lane, the first words out of his mouth for his $1 million pitch. Who wants to be the next Tybo? That was it. Everybody had full attention. We had 3 investors on the call as judges at the end of this event, and a secret investor who was not going to present themselves. All 4 investors said yes. He actually got a $1 million deal. One of the investors offered him $1 million on the spot simply just to buy him out of his deal. It was a legit deal. He refused it because he thinks he can take his business far more. And so we're working with him this year to actually go for a $100 million deal for him. So you can follow what we're doing over the course of the year with Tim Lane. And to those who are interested, we're going to be doing another $1 million pitch live event in April. And for information on that, email me, Antonio@pitchfreaks.com here, and I will keep you posted with those activities. $1 million pitch live is the event. So we're going to be doing $1 million pitch live 2 in April. What is $1 million pitch live? Basically, $1 million pitch live is we take a small business person who has a product, who has some track record, who has some skills in an area with opportunity, who lacks the ability to pitch, who lacks the ability to sell in a meaningful way, and lacks the ability to market themselves properly. And we provide all of those solutions to them, along with support and help for production, business models, finance, and so on. And within a 4-hour period of time, we get them prepared to make $1 million pitch to a group of investors. So that was a very fun project we did in December. Okay. So what I would like to do here is, by the way, are folks engaged? I want to make sure here. Is this interesting? Am I going too boring here? Okay, great, good. Okay. So the number one thing that we want to do here is the biggest advantage that you can have as a small business or as a founder to a business is actually have a sale. That is your biggest advantage over 99% of the other people looking for money for investors today. If you have a product of any level of quality, here's the thing. I want to tell you about a concept that is widely regarded in the tech community that applies to any business. It does not have to be tech. By the way, what I'm talking to you guys about today does not need to be at some tech company. The company I told you that is probably at $50 million right now over the last 10 years is not a technology company. It's actually in the construction related business. Tim Lane is not a technology company. We got him $1 million deal. Fluzzle Tube, another project of mine from 2020, is an inflatable device that just connects with other like an inner tube. The pitch in this book, how many of you guys have a product? No, a product company. What if I told you that the same 3 moves in this book here were helped Fluzzle Tube, fluzzletube.com, FLUZZLETUBE, Fluzzle Tube, win the Marcus Lemonis. Who knows the prophet Marcus Lemonis? He has a company called Camping World. It's the #1 outdoor retailer in the United States. Everybody who sells an outdoor product wants to be inside Camping World. Camping World, Marcus Lemonis did a pitch contest this year. FuzzleTube came to me in November asking me for their help in how to create the pitch for their competition. I went through the moves. I showed them each of the moves from the book. I will give you one guess who won the Marcus Lemonis pitch competition in 2020. Solana and Del Whitehead from FuzzleTube. They are now in Camping World across the United States. That's pretty good. You think that's pretty good? You think that winning that and getting national distribution and recognition by Marcus Lemonis would be enough, and that $27 would be worth the price to be able to get your product into Camping World? Maybe that's not enough for you. That same company came back to me and said, Antonio, we've got an opportunity. QVC and HSN have partnered up. They're doing a project called the Big Ticket. The Big Ticket is a pitch competition nationwide for companies to be able to have their products on QVC. And QVC provides them promotional opportunities. QVC buys their product, distributes their product. How many people watch Shark Tank and know that they try to get to Lori Grenier and they try to get to these different folks because they're on QVC? If I could just get on QVC, that would mean everything to me. Most people agree with that, right? What if I told you that I use the same 3 moves, close with your open, same exact moves, applied slightly differently, same moves though. I'll give you one guess who won the QVC HSN Big Ticket competition pitch. Same company, FuzzleTube. Now you think, that's not bad. That must mean millions of dollars in possibility and opportunity for them. Yeah. Right in the book. Simple. $27. Now it seems very easy, right? Now we have a construction company. We've got a company doing boxing sticks. We've got a company here with an inflatable tube for hanging out on the water. It does not matter what your company is, you guys. It doesn't matter how much your product costs, by the way. Right? How do you make a $100 million company selling inflatable tubes? It's a $6 billion industry. Inflatable flotation device. Did you know that Peloton is a $3.9 billion company? Did you know that NordicTrack is a $6 billion company by itself? Guess who we are going to attempt to do a deal for Tim Lane's boxing sticks? If you think of Peloton, if you think of NordicTrack, if you were to buy a Peloton device or a NordicTrack device, giving away a pair of these boxing sticks with a training would be a rounding error for these organizations. A rounding error for Peloton is a $100 million deal. These things are not impossible. Jim Prost, tell me if I am making a mistake here. Tell me if I'm saying that something that's not true. Right? Right. My point here is that a $100 million idea is not as complicated as people make it seem. There is plenty of money out there for folks, plenty of opportunity, but you have to be able to articulate it. And most people can't. And that's how they suffer and why they suffer as a result. Number one issue that you need to do for an investor is how are you going to make them money? Not how will you change the world, how you make life better. They do not care. Everybody and their mother has an idea of how to change. And by the way, they say, if I could just sell my idea and then you could take it over, that would be great. Forget it. Not true. I don't want to do your stupid idea. And I certainly don't want to pay you to take your stupid idea and do all the work. Right? That's not how it works either. Let me also give you another little piece of information. The other piece of information here, and we're at 8:33 right now. If you go to Shark Tank and you see these pitches being made, those pitches take 3 hours to make. That 5-minute pitch on Shark Tank takes 3 hours to shoot. And it often takes 6 months to actually negotiate the deal and do all the due diligence before the person actually gets money if they survive the due diligence phase. So when you see somebody making a 3-minute pitch and you think that's amazing, 3-minute pitch and they get a check, that's not how it works either. After they do their pitch, they go through at least 6 months of due diligence to make sure that they're not a convict, they're not a criminal, they're not a scam artist, that's a real deal. All the financial models are together, everything works. Okay. And then and only then, right, do they get a deal. So it's gone by so fast. 30 minutes went by like nothing. I thought I had like another 15 minutes to talk about here. So we're already at 8:33. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you're interested in a free pitch class, I'm gonna do, because it's 2021 and because the economy the way it is, I'm going to do a free training. It's gonna be a 3-hour training, a deep dive on pitching based upon my book. If you register today, you don't have to even buy anything. Just go to pitchfreaks.com, register for the book, coming out in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Pitchfreaks.com, register for the book. Here, you'll be automatically enrolled in my class. I will send you an email here for a 3-hour training coming up this month, where I will show you the process, walk through the process for free. Just my way to pay it forward for this year to get you on the right track. Regardless if you're trying to get a new client, a new customer, you're trying to go for funding, you're trying to build a business. By the way, the best way to build a business before you spend a dime on getting an attorney, getting a trademark, getting a patent, any of those things, the best way to build your business, the most effective way to build it is to actually have your pitch. Have your pitch first. If you develop your pitch first, every dollar you spend is more effective. Every dollar you spend gives you a higher return on your investment. If you spend money before you develop your pitch, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you time, money, and confusion. Your job for this year should be making it as easy as possible for your customers to buy. By the way, if you're doing an investor pitch for $1 million, your customers are investors. Rule number 1, you should articulate your value from the prospect's perspective. So the prospect, if the prospect is an investor, what's the most important value you can give to an investor? Return on investment. If your if your prospect, your customer is a retailer, right, then you need to be able to move product on their shelves. They have a different motivation, right? If you have a customer who's trying to increase their sales during the course of the year, they have a different value from you. So you need to make sure that your value is matched with the customer in which you're trying to do your deal with. Okay, so we're over time already. I don't know if you want to open up the Q&A here or not, but I invite you, should you be interested, you can learn more, of course, at pitchfreaks.com, Antonio at pitchfreaks.com. In the subject line, you can do checklist. And I will send you an email here, and I can register you for our free workshop, free training this year, this month. So my advice to you is one thing: make sure you make it as easy as possible for people to buy. The more that you make them work, the more that you make them think, the less likely you are to close a deal. You need to focus on emotion first, and then you focus on the brain. Make it fun, make it engaging, and then make it the only logical choice. So that's the conclusion here. We're working with a lot of folks this year. We'll share more during the course of the year, but I'm excited for all of you. 2021 is filled with opportunity and possibility this year. I wish you all the very, very best here, and keep pitching.
Hey, thanks, Antonio.
Thank you.
That was great. I was busy writing there. I had to take notes, and I couldn't keep up with you. So it's a good thing we're going to record this. Let's open it up for some questions. Who would like to start? Patricia?
What was your process to take your ideas and put into a logical order for your book?
25 years of pain.
Okay.
And then a year of intense pain. And essentially I had to ask myself, what are the fundamental requirements for here's what I did. The process for the book was I gave a speech to myself and recorded it. right? And then I simply transcribed it. And then I hired some editors, and then I spent a year editing the process, editing the piece as well to make it as simple as possible. By the way, I made a huge mistake in the book. Here's one thing, by the way, if I have one lesson for it, there's room for you in the world. There's room for you in business. There's room for you on stage. There's room for you with your book. There's room for you, period. Do not hesitate this year to go for it. Do not hesitate this year to go for it.
Hey, by the way, I ordered the book. So I was just curious now, does it come with a guarantee that I'll do the $1 million pitch this year? Is that part of the book?
Hey, we're taking applications, by the way. If you go to pitchfreaks.com/apply, you can apply to be a candidate for $1 million pitch 2 coming in April. So we are taking applications here. And so that's part of the fun here. And by the way, you would think I would have no problem finding great businesses or people to actually be candidates for the call, but they actually have to have a legit business, right? It's hard finding a company that has really high capabilities of delivering $100 million deal with competent management team, with a real product, with opportunities. It's harder than you would think.
All right, good, Betty.
Antonio, thank you for a great presentation. Now I know more what you do, and I look forward to the book. My question is, I'm trying to take what you're talking about for VCs and that type of business and translate it into being a professional realtor, helping buyers and sellers, and being a consultant. So when you say the first thing is to appeal to their emotion, I think I wrote that down. What if you have, like I have a new client I'm going to interview today, for example, and I have an idea they are extremely analytical. And so how do you balance that, especially on hopefully Zoom versus a telephone call? If they're not an emotional, they don't really think about here, they're really more about the numbers.
So what do they plan to do with the proceeds?
They're going to buy a house.
Great. That's the first question.
And sell a house.
Right. That's the first question though, right?
Of course.
That's my first question for somebody in that regard. Here, what's your plan for the proceeds?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I know what the plan for the proceeds are,
Mm-hmm.
right, then I can start building a story around that.
Okay.
How are we going to help them achieve that? Right? How am I going to help them get that? I have a goal now. If I have a goal with my customer, now I can develop a narrative around achieving that goal and how I'm the only logical person to help them achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm.
I have the best marketing plan. I have people in demand for your property here. We have, all these various things that we can bring to bear, right? The key thing here is a big mistake that folks make that I find, and there's so many mistakes, but one is not being prepared for the actual prospective customer meeting. I find here is that people treat investors and many customers here simply as, I'll just do an ad hoc approach. Even the slightest amount of research on the person that you're going to be pitching to before you actually pitch can pay gigantic dividends to you. Who are they? Where do they work? Do they give money? Are they charitable? What kind of things are important to them? Do they like sports? Where do they live? What kind of life do they present? What's their position? Anything that you can learn ahead of time. Have they invested in other products or services or such as the one that you're offering here? Was it successful? Was it not successful? What worked? What didn't work? All these various things that you can do ahead of time. So for instance, if you're trying to raise money from an investor, it'd be good to know what other things that investor has invested in.
Yeah.
Right. So if they've sold property, is this your first property that you sold? Is this, these are things that you can ask that are very simple. And these things are non-intimidating questions. Have you sold a property like this before? Right. Or what we'd be doing with the process. Those are very quick. By the way, they seem simple. A great pitch does not seem like a sales pitch. A great pitch seems like a conversation. And Betty, you're so terrific at that. And Craig, you're exceedingly amazing at that. And Patricia is the master at this. When you start sounding salesy, and pushy, whether it's trying to get $1 or trying to get $100 million. Here, people have the same response, which is defense, right?
Thank you.
So for you, comps are key. What am I going to do with the proceeds here? And then how are you going to help them achieve that goal? And I don't know. There's so many different ways you can help them achieve that goal, Betty, right? But the quickest way to do it is to show, I understand your goal now. Here's how we might go about delivering on your goal. I'd love to show. So for instance, what are you going to do with these proceeds? I'm going to buy another property. Great. I'd love to show you how I can deliver on that goal. Let me show you how we can deliver on that process. Boom, right in the demo. How fast is that?
Mm-hmm.
Most people want to show a 10-minute presentation. Most people want to show a bunch of data and wax poetic about what have you. You don't have to do this. You'd be shocked how many multi-million-dollar deals I've done where it's 5 minutes. It's less than that. That also requires that you are an authority on what you do. That requires that you have a track record. You don't just walk up, starting something from scratch, have an idea, make a deal. When you have 25 years of doing something, and then you say, this is a thing, and you explain in a very clearly easy to understand way, you have the ability to make a deal like that, right? Unless you have that level of experience, you have to show the evidence. The difference between trust and evidence, right? Trust is emotional. Evidence is the data. You need both. You need trust and you need evidence if you're going for $1 million deal, right? You need to do that regardless. So Betty, if you're trying to get and you're always doing multi-million-dollar deals, you and Craig are doing multi-million-dollar deals all the time. You're making multi-million-dollar pitches, right? You need to build trust and you need to show the evidence and the data. We've had 3 properties like yours sell last year. Here's the timeframes here. Here's how long it was on the market. I mean, these are very simple things. By the way, let me give you the most beneficial way to instantly validate what you do. Who's interested? Who'd like an instant validation technique that they can apply today instantly to validate and to provide validation for their business offerings? Anybody interested? Okay, great. Let me do a test. Let me see if I do a test. Patricia Fritt.
Okay.
Okay, Patricia, could you tell me, let me see if I got this right. How has GGBC changed your life?
It's a perfect way to begin any Wednesday. That feeling of camaraderie and fun and inspiration carries through the rest of the week.
Okay, let me be more specific. What has your membership in GGBC help you to accomplish?
A feeling of connection.
Terrific, great, perfect, thank you. Okay, good. Let's see here, Tony Woodall. Tony.
Yes.
What has your membership in GGBC helped you accomplish?
It has helped me accomplish meeting new members of the San Francisco Bay Area that I would not have been able to meet, leaders and shakers within the business community in San Francisco.
Great, perfect, thank you. Betty Taish, what has your membership in GGBC helped you accomplish?
Using the inspiration and the education that I get in my personal and professional life.
Perfect, great. Pete Ratto, what has your membership in GGBC helped you accomplish?
What has it helped me accomplish? Well, it for us, that the garbage company, we always kind of looked at it as outreach to ingrain ourselves within the community. And the thing is, when you're talking about business and pitches, the thing with the garbage company in San Francisco is, we like to say we are a regulated entity, a regulated utility. But as my good friend Jim Lazarus always said, you're a monopoly. And that is kind of a better way to describe it, because we sold our product to you, but you didn't have any choice. And
okay, let me do a little direction here for you. What has your specific membership in GGBC helped you specifically accomplish?
What has it helped me specifically accomplish? I'd say it has given me a range of contacts. and honestly, a range of contacts that goes out past the GGBC. Just having a greater pool of people to speak with.
Great, perfect. Bert Hill, what has your membership in GGBC helped you accomplish?
For one thing, how to sell things. That's because I'm surrounded by people who are doing presentations, and for most of my career, I was doing presentations on bicycling, safety and stuff like that, and it just helped me just be relaxed, because I used to be really tight and tough, and just the idea of just relax and have fun with it, and it works out well. Also the camaraderie, because I hang around mostly with real progressives and all that sort of stuff, and it's kind of a break. So I'm seeing a much wider diversity. It seems to be strange, join the Breakfast Club for more diversity, but the group that I'm really associated with, because everything is bicycling, walking, and advocating for that sort of thing, tend to be people who are on one end of the scale. So I've really enjoyed. On top of that, I can use my contacts like Roy Scioto talking me into getting an electric car 20 years ago.
I love it. Thank you, Bert. Craig Adams, what has your membership in GGBC helped you accomplish, specifically you?
Well, I think for me, it's just been inspiring. I hear the different speakers, and I mean, even today, just hearing you, Antonio, I got to learn some things about what you're doing that I didn't know, and I appreciated your presentation. And so it just inspires me to just, I get charged up. And it carries into my personal and my professional life. So I really learned from everybody. It's been awesome.
Perfect. All right. So I just went through multiple examples of what you can do. These are testimonials. This is recorded. Each one of these people that just said what GGBC membership has helped them accomplish is a testimonial. If you do the traditional pitch approach, most people say, I like hanging out with people in the morning. I like the camaraderie. I like meeting people in a comfortable way. That's not what you're able to accomplish as a result of being a member. So we just got several people giving testimonials of what they were able to accomplish as a result, personally, as a result of being a part of the GGBC. I did this intentionally, by the way. I almost was going to do this a whole day just doing this. But what we can do is we can splice these little testimonials into a reel that can go onto our website, that can go onto social media, right? What would you like to accomplish? GGBC helps its members accomplish meaningful things in life. Here are some examples of GGBC members and what they're able to accomplish. Do these things matter to you? Would you like to accomplish these things? Membership in GGBC makes it possible. Okay, so Betty, your wonderful track record of sales, you could be asking your past customers when you bring them their pie at the end of the year, what has my service helped you to accomplish? Get them on video, get them on an iPhone. If you had 3 people talk about what your service helped them to accomplish last year, which you do not have on your website right now, is that true or it's not true?
True.
Right. Craig, you don't have 3 people on your website right now on your homepage telling about what you helped them accomplish last year or ever. True or not true?
but
True or not true? True or not true? Patricia Fripp, you do not have 3 people on your homepage right now telling you talking about what you helped them accomplish. True or not true?
I'm not sure about the homepage, but I have hundreds.
Not on your homepage.
Okay, you got it.
You want to increase your conversion instantly? This is a $1 million tip I just gave you guys.
Yeah.
Get testimonials. Put them on your homepage. The words that should come out of their mouth should be, working with Patricia Fripp has helped me to accomplish ... Okay? Working with Craig Adams has helped me to accomplish ... Working with Christine Torrington, working with Darren Arden, working with Tony Woodall, working with Gary McKenzie. You get the idea. 3 FBI professionals. Working with Ann Mahoney has helped us accomplish ... You get the idea, right? Ilma. Working with Ilma on my car has helped me to accomplish ... Whatever it is. Tana, same thing. Everybody can do the same thing. It's universal. Your testimonials will be different because your businesses are different. Even students can offer testimonials. Jim Prost, your students, as a result of learning from Jim Prost, as a result of taking Jim Trust's classes, I've been able to accomplish ... Right? You get the idea. We should be doing this for GGBC. You should be doing this for your business. This is the easiest, cheapest way for you to get meaningful engagement and to get people through your sales process. Instantly show testimonials here. Okay. I hope was that helpful? I don't know if that, if people, was this a good
Yeah.
That
thing?
was
Okay.
awesome.
Dynamite.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
That was
Perfect.
Very good.
You
Very
guys get the idea.
Very productive.
Okay. Good, you guys.